Hello again, my friends, and you are my friend. Welcome back to Away Day Amy, the Away Day guys from Talking Town. I'm, of course, the governor. That is, of course, the Queen of Hearts, Queen of Gin, Amy Downs. It's not the top of the show there. Last 5 against Portsmouth hasn't been particularly kind. We sit, as we record this, 6 days away from another trip to Fratton Park. It's not been kind, Amy. Last 5, all defeats in all competitions, so FA Cup, etc. Did you know that stat before the graphic came on the screen? Oh, you're still on mute, Amy. Hang on. Let me take you off mute. There you go.
This is what Martin does, you see. He gets fed up of hearing my voice, so just sticks me on mute, don't you?
Boom. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that. Sorry, but were you surprised when that stat
I was, because it does pan a few years as well, and obviously they hit a real low point, so you would have hoped that there'd be some better news, and still sulking a little bit after Accrington. So I would have thought I could have done with something to make me feel a bit more positive coming into these next 2 games.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. Since 2016, it's not been pretty. As always, if you're new to these guides, welcome. What we do is we look at past away day stories. We look at pubs, the stadium, parking, the manager in this case, obviously Paul Cook, ex-Pompey. So, yeah, we'll start with past stories. I know you put a tweet and a Facebook message out every time we're going to do one of these. What has been the best stories fans have come up with this week for the Portsmouth away day guide?
Lovely response today, as always. I'm really excited. And when we set out to do this show, we said we wanted it as, it's the Talking Town ethos is a fans show for the fans by the fans. And that's what I wanted to make sure the away days one was as well. So thank you to everyone who's shared their experiences. My favourite is the one I had a catch up with my dad, who isn't very well at the moment. Bless him. He hurt his, I shouldn't laugh. He actually really badly hurt his arm doing walking football. So bless him, he's had to have an operation, so he's not very well at the moment, and I had a really nice catch up with him, and as soon as the talk came to football, he cheered up, which was really nice. And he told me that he went to Fratton Park back in 1968. Bill McGarry was the manager, which I thought was really interesting, because that's not a name that I hear very often. You hear of the Duncan years, and obviously Sir Alf and Sir Robson, Sir Bobby. But I think Robson took over after McGarry from what I worked out today. So that was quite an interesting time for my dad to pick out. But yeah, Portsmouth went 1-0 up, but John O'Rourke scored twice. And that meant that the Ipswich were promoted to the first division that day. So my dad was very, very happy. And yeah, he did. He did. And he said apparently on the walk back to the train station, a football Pompey fan nicked his scarf. And it was apparently just something away, like home fans did to away fans back then. But he didn't care because they'd just been promoted. So because we'd just been promoted, so obviously the scarf didn't matter as much as getting into the first division, which I thought was very, very sweet of him to share that. But in general, I think from perhaps before our time as Ipswich fans, there was a relatively positive memories from going to Fratton Park. Steve on Twitter said that he lives down there. It's just a short ride away from his home. But we've always struggled to beat them lately. I always have memories of a certain Simon Milton scoring regularly in what he calls the Milton end, which I thought was quite amusing. He adds about parking, which we'll come back to later. Paul Hedger remembers one game in the I haven't worked out the date for that one, but when the heavens opened, we were 2-0 up, then there was an absolute downpour and the ref took the players off. When they came back on, it was 2-2 within minutes, but then David Lowe scored which is standard us, isn't it? But David Lowe scored the winner, so nice happy memory there, and another. Another win. Exactly, that's it. If you go back past those last 5 games, I think the 90s were fairly, and obviously my dad went there in the late 80s, were fairly decent. And then Colin on Twitter, whose name I think isn't actually Colin, but he's a great lad who I talk to quite a lot. So thank you for sharing your memory with me. He says, I went to Fratton Park with a mate a few years ago when John McGreal was sent off and Scully equalised late. This is a slightly less happy memory because he said that he got himself into a slanging match with a Pompey fan on the way out and had to run back to his car. So a bit of a mixed mixed experience there. But in general, people seem to have a fairly positive memories to recall, which is funny, like you say, when you look at the stats, wouldn't necessarily think that. But
no, well, we've been shit for a couple of years, excuse the language, but we've been terrible for a couple of years, and it coincides with playing obviously Portsmouth. And you said before this we started that they've been on a bit of downward spiral or come back from a bit of a bad situation, but that doesn't matter when playing Town. We are the prescription to all ailments and all football clubs. It really does seem that way. So based on those last 5, to everyone going from Crunch to K to the Goat, and I have to get you the Goat's phone number because he'll have loads of stories worth having for any away day. But if you go in, I wish you well, because as I say, those last 5, not pretty reading. What I do like from those stories that you mentioned was, well, first of all, the gob off then run. I mean, classic. Love that. Love that. Get in the car. Let's go, Rodders. But the first one, petty theft. Is it just the sort of thing we did back in the day? We just petty theft. What's petty theft?
I said to him, I'd have been absolutely I still would be absolutely devastated if someone nicked my scarf, because my dad got me that when I was about 8 before I'd gone to any games. So I've had that's 30 years old, that scarf. I'd chase them down, anyone who pinched that. But yeah, that did make me laugh, the way he was just like, oh, but I wasn't bothered. I just got on the train and celebrated us winning. I was like, oh, that's football's the only thing that matters, really.
Could well suggest the price of scarves now.
Very true.
I don't know. I mean, scarves are like everything else on the rise in terms of merchandise. But they're the previous stories. I'm really pleased this week. We've got a guest to join us, a Portsmouth fan, to tell us what they think of Ipswich, previous encounters, what pubs, the key one, etc. You arrange the guests, obviously your show. You do the research, the guests, etc. So it's only fair you introduce this wonderful person. So go ahead, Mrs. Downs. Over to you.
Thank you. So Isabel has been a Portsmouth fan since she was very young, and she now lives in London. So she doesn't go to as many games. Much like me, I went to London at uni and couldn't get back to every Ipswich game. Life gets in the way, but she is still keeping up with the games, as we all had to, online and on social media last year. So Isabel answered my call on a Facebook group called This Fangirl Chat, which for any lady football fans watching is a brilliant group where you can go and just have like really nice chats with reasonable chats without all the bickering that you can get from Twitter and things like that. And it just feels like a nice safe space and nice to chat to other women who appreciate football. So without further ado, Isabel has offered to come on and chat with us about the upcoming game, about her thoughts on Ipswich and what she's expecting, and also to hopefully give us a bit of tips about parking and where to drink, because neither I or you have visited Fratton Park before.
No, and from the feedback, parking is a bit difficult, and obviously drinks weren't mentioned. But yes, so we'll just remind the guys and girls at home what was the name, and I'll click the button and bring the guest in.
So this is Isabel.
There we go. Izzy. There we go. Hello. Isabel, Izzy, welcome. How are you? Amy has gone to fix up the little one, I think. We'll plug the gap, as it were. Amy mentioned that you live in London now, so you're keeping up with the games remotely, but as we all have over the last 18 months. And have you found that's gotten easier in terms of like the iFollow service and everything else, because they've had to sort of come more online with the pandemic? Do you think it's got a bit easier?
I feel like the iFollow service is still a bit ropey.
Yeah.
We've often had the wrong commentary feeds and everything like that, or none. So
yes, none's a winner. Yeah. Or it freezes after the first 5, and then it takes 15 minutes to get yourself back on, and then you're suddenly 3-3 and never see another goal again. And it's like, am I going to get a refund here? We had that recently, actually. We played a game and we missed 2 goals, and somebody got a £2.50 refund. And I just thought, I'd rather have just said sorry, no refund, because £2.50 is a bit of a slap. do you know?
That's right. What's the point? Surely you've made that in like admin fees or something.
Well, absolutely. But obviously, as I put on the screen now, I'll just show it again. Despite how horrible it is, the last 5.
Do you have to?
I do.
It's quite impressive.
It is. Well, it's from your perspective, but as a
but also considering our recent form.
Well, likewise here. Obviously, last season, Danny Cowley took charge of you guys, and you managed to record a 2-1. That's the one I remember there, right at the end. The rest are a bit hazy. Defeat kind of merged to a 1 if you're a Town fan. But as a Portsmouth fan, when you see Town on the fixture list, what are your thoughts, your feelings? Do you think, that's a guaranteed 3 points? Or do you have a little bit of trepidation still that, you're playing the mighty Town? How do you see this?
Yeah, it's surprising to see those 5 wins in a row, to be honest. I always think we've been obviously in this league way too long. So when a team of your stature comes down, you think, oh, that's a big game. And will be obviously challenging. Because, a lot of the teams obviously in this league are in various different sizes, and we like to obviously think of ourselves as fairly big for the league. So the fact that you guys are here, gives us hope that, we're not the only ones floundering in League One trying to get out of this mess into the Championship again.
I did start the show, Amy. If anyone is a cure for all ailments, it's Ipswich Town. And there you go, you see. We've given an away fan, or in this case, the home fan, hope. Classic Town. Classic Town. Giving hope where there wasn't any before. How do you see League One, though, Izzy? Because as you say, there's a lot of big teams. So how do you see them?
It's a slog. You go to some interesting places, see some things that you're not
Accrington away
expecting. Yeah, I mean, we've had some interesting away. Even when Blackburn were down, it's a big side, and inevitably lose in the rain in Blackburn. But you might have some fun away days. Even Southend, been a couple of times, never got a decent result. And you turn up, you think you're going to win, and League One strikes again, and you're still here.
League One
floundering in mid-table.
One of the things I think we sometimes use as a bit of an excuse is with a big club. So we feel like, well, I do say that really exaggerated, because I do believe we have to appreciate our stature these days, but our position. But I do think that when other teams in League One are coming to Portman Road, we know it's one of the nicer grounds in the league by a mile. Do you guys do you ever sort of get that kind of big fish small pond feeling and feel like that works against you sometimes, or do you think you've probably been in this league that long now for you not to feel that way?
No, I think we're still there for not sure this season, but definitely for the past couple, our away form was way better than our home form. And personally, wow. I'm sure others will put it down to as well that, going Fratton Park, big scalp, always, we've had well-documented issues with various finances. So people are still harping on about that. And CSA is a big scalp. And I remember when you won the FA Cup. I was like, that's a very long time ago now. Distant memories of playing AC Milan at Fratton Park too, but
actually, random fact, I was working at Wembley the day you guys won the FA Cup. I was a waitress in one of the exec rooms, and at the end when we were clearing up, Herman Hreidarsson walked into the room, and I was just Herman, can I just say congratulations, please? And I was like, I'm an Ipswich fan, so this probably seems weird, but I'm really happy for you guys. And so I do remember that day. And I think we've just been speaking to a Wigan fan called Angela, because we've got their game heading our way as well. But the thought of not that long ago having these amazing achievements, although it was 20 years ago for us, to be fair, but it just feels strange for us to be, like you say, resident in League One now and not really very hopeful for moving out anytime soon.
Yeah, you kind of just resigned to another season of League One. I mean, now we've got rid of Kenny Jackett, and with the Cowleys, we're a bit more hopeful. It's been a topsy-turvy start so far to the season, but I think there's a bit more hope, and more than anything else, last season definitely was, I think, obviously didn't help not being able to get to the games and watch it on dodgy iFollow services. But you were just, chatting to my stepdad or stepbrother, and you're just like, yeah, this is pretty tough viewing. Is it worth another tenner on the iPhone?
Amen. Amen to that. We're with you there, aren't we, Amy?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually tell us about the Cowley brothers, because they were, when we were linking us, it was probably mostly the fans more than the papers or anything, but just linking ourselves with anyone and everyone. The Cowley brothers have always been pretty popular since Mick McCarthy left, I think, with our fans, was as people we would like to take over. How has it been? Like, has it lived up to expectations so far?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of hesitancy in some sectors. I saw them maybe comparing their football to Kenny Jackett football, which was very Route One. Yeah, not exciting at all. But they've come in, tried to play really quite expansive football, which, again, League One is not necessarily used to. You get the odd team, and they're normally quite successful. We had a big turnover of players in the summer, and that was always going to take a long time to sort out. There was a lot of dead wood, but also, you could bring in new players. You basically got a brand new 11 out there. So I think
sounds like us. Sounds a lot like us.
Say,
yeah, I mean, you guys had a very busy summer, splashing some money around. So
we were only splashing money that we'd got from well, maybe not only, but we did sell everybody, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, this is it. And this is obviously, there's been a running thing through Portsmouth and Ipswich Town Fans through the summer with these transfers that you mentioned, because you called us Checkbook FC, we've called you Salty FC. So Checkbook versus Salty, and particularly over certain players that maybe did or did not arrive at town, or did arrive at Fratton Park. So it's been already a contested summer between the two football clubs.
Yeah, I think it will definitely be feisty on Tuesday, especially with a certain Mr. Cook returning back to Fratton Park. He always gets an interesting welcome after his interesting leaving speech of "I'm not going to go anywhere." Well,
this is it, and we'll come to the manager shortly. But
Definitely.
You mentioned Fratton Park. I've never been to Fratton Park. I've never had the honour or the privilege. Amy, I believe is the same. She never had the honour or privilege either to go to Fratton Park. Can you tell us, maybe for those that are travelling down for Tuesday night, what they can expect from Fratton Park? What's it like? What's the stadium like? What's the away end look like? What's your amenities, etc., etc.?
Fratton Park. It's a unique place. It's luckily we're finally doing the work that needs to be done to the stadium, because it had been left to sadly rot. So it needs some TLC, which it's slowly and surely getting. The away end has a roof. Quite famously, it didn't have a roof for a very long time, and was always quite funny when it did. Heavens open, when we played Sunderland the other week, they were saved from most of that rain that came down that weekend and turned the pitch into a swimming pool. Obviously, I'm going to be biased, and it's it can be an amazing place to watch football. The atmosphere can be amazing. It can get quite toxic, but hopefully after.
So if Town were to go down there and take the lead, do you think it could flip quite quickly then?
I think not this season. I think it's still quite early into the Cowley's reign.
Okay.
I think generally everyone's behind him. I think if there were fans there last season for the end of Jackett, then it would have been an awful place to watch football and play, probably. But it would be very enjoyable for every away fan and away team.
Well,
am I right in thinking the ground is sort of like on an island? It's not actually on the mainland. Don't worry.
There you go. Don't worry. That's fine.
Luke's actually went to uni in Portsmouth, so it's the one away game that I haven't managed to get down to. But every year we're like, right, we'll go this year, and we still haven't managed it. Tuesday night is the right bugger. But yeah, am I right in thinking
Why do they make the good games at Tuesday night?
I know, exactly. Exactly.
The scheduling is just annoying.
Particularly the distance, and you've really sold Fratton Park to both of us there. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be going in the next 10 years. And neither is probably Amy, because you've really sold it to me as an away.
Oh, you should come.
It's
a beautiful place.
But if I was,
it's the best.
If I was to risk it, obviously you're from London now. You've moved to London. So if you go into the game, how would you be going? Drive, train?
I get the train down.
Get the train from London, so that's possible for Town fans.
Yeah, and then Fratton Station is probably a 5-10 minute walk. From the stadium. You can see it from the station platform, so it's not far at all.
And parking wise, for those that want to drive, because I'd probably drive, I'm disabled, so I'd like to get as close as I can to the stadium. What would there be for those in cars? Is it ideal? Is it in a town like Portman Road is? What would you say?
It's in the middle, pretty much, of the city. There's a Tesco's next to it, which I believe offers match day parking.
Oh,
and there are some on-street parking nearby, because I know the permits are only they've worked it out just for 3 p.m. kickoffs, because it's where my brother lives.
That's good.
And they're like, oh, that's only works out for 3 p.m. But okay.
So an evening kickoff, you'll be fine.
Handy to know.
Yeah, but obviously, they'll get very busy. It can be. There's only like 2 roads in and out of the city because of it being an island. So driving to Fratton Park can take a long while.
A long while. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a few
especially a midweek, like an evening game, because you're combine that with commuting and everything else like that. It's a bit. Yeah, the best bet obviously is to get the train, but you can drive and there are parking options available. It's just getting there with time to spare.
So there are a couple of options then, Amy, for those that are going down, which is good to hear. And we'd like to hear from anyone else that's been to Fratton Park. Leave a comment in the comment section for those that are watching that are going to go as well. Help out our fellow town fans. So we've done the stadium, done the pass, we've done parking. I think the most important one is coming up now, which before we do, we have to have a word from our sponsor, who is also a provider of a beautiful, beautiful pint. One of these, for example, I enjoyed the other weekend. Walk to Victory, that is called. So it's a Tashtastic golden beer. They're, of course, awaydaybeers.com. Go to awaydaybeers.com for all your away day needs. Here is their advert. Obviously, one of the range they've got is Fighting Like Beavers, and that was made famous at a Portsmouth game, wasn't it? Portsmouth versus Reading, Izzy, where Cammy didn't know what was going on, wasn't it?
Yeah. He didn't realise a player had been sent off.
Yeah, good old Cammy.
So every time that clip gets, and it's back in the Premier League days for us. So he's like,
and for Reading,
remember that?
And for Reading as well. But we've come to pubs, the most important one for
absolutely
all the way fans. So can you tell us what people can expect from a pub? Are there any neutral pubs in the sense of home and away fans can go and drink in them? Is it strictly home fans in certain pubs, away fans in certain pubs? What's the situation when you get down there? Most
of the pubs are separated into home and away. There's a brewery nearby called Stagnantly Good Brewery, which is mixed. So if you like your craft beer, I know they do some interesting fruited sours. They could do some very nice beers if you're into that kind of stuff. Or you could get go along the trains for one stop to Portsmouth and Southsea, which is the town centre, and have a bit more of a casual pint if you're not, because sometimes those football pubs can get a bit busy, sweaty, and a bit rowdy. So depending you might be better off if you want a more neutral pub. Is definitely going towards the town centre, which is just one stop on the train, and then you can hop on back. What sort of pub do you like on an away day? Do you like to be in the middle of it, rowdiness, singing, play up Pompey or whatever you'd like to sing, or do you want to be, just a quiet little drink before the game, and then we'll get rowdy after the game when we've won comfortably? As normally away day is the first one we can get into. Well, that's true. Because especially it being if a lot of pubs is normally separated into home and away, so it's trying to work out where you can drink. And normally Wetherspoons. Parking, it's normally spoons. Because it's always a spoon, so. Oh yes. Around every corner. Yes. But exactly. I think we normally end up in a relatively rowdy place with Westwards singing and being too drunk, but as you should be on away days. Absolutely. I don't have to ask Amy what her experience of away day is, because I know what Amy's experience of away day is. She's not in a rowdy pub. She is the rowdy crowd in the rowdy pub. The quiet drinkers go to places to avoid Mrs. Downs. Isn't that right? Thank you. Isn't that right? You tell me you're not rowdiness in an away day. You're telling me you're not going to be rowdy come Cambridge.
Oh, I will be at Cambridge. I'm definitely going to be rowdy in Cambridge. But that's my hometown, so I'm going to be like, I own this place. This is my stomping ground. I'm going to love it. Because normally, like even nowadays at Portman Road, because it's so far from me, it's a bit like, oh, I feel like a bit of a stranger. But Cambridge is going to be like, nope, this is mine this time. It's going to be a great away day, that one. And I am sad that we aren't going to Portsmouth. That would have been a nice option this year.
If it was a Saturday, I'd have gone absolutely,
Yeah.
because of the whole summer drama. I'd have loved to have gone and salty FC and hopefully beaten them.
I mean, because we're by the sea, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fish and chips, 3 points, and a pint of beer, all by the sea. Can't beat it, really, can you? That's why people love kind of Portman Road all the time for. But that's the pubs. The Spoons have probably got toilets in Southampton. But
well, it is a shithole, so.
Whoa. You said it, not me. But you mentioned Paul Cook at the start of the show. It is, well, yeah. And we'd say the same if it was Norwich. Don't worry. Absolutely. But you mentioned Cook at the start of the show. What are your thoughts on our manager, Mr. Paul Cook? Obviously, ex-Portsmouth. You mentioned the speech he gave. Tell us, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I think at the time, people were very annoyed with him saying at the end of the season, after we've been promoted to League One, that he's not going anywhere, and then leaves what feels like seconds later to go to Wigan. But that's what, at the end of the day, managers move on, and it's the same with players. They kiss the badge one week and go off the next. I'm sure there'll be a large section of Fratton Park that will give him a welcome of some kind.
Fascinating.
So, it'll be interesting to see and feel what the atmosphere is going to be like for him, especially after, like you say, all the exchanges on various platforms over the summer regarding players maybe going, not going.
Yeah. Yeah, and one player
that
hijack, wasn't it? Remember that one, Amy? The player that was an assign, a midfield player whose name escapes me. I think it was Morel.
I remember it happening, but you're right. I can't remember it. In all honesty, it probably doesn't help the nickname Checkbook FC, but there was so many over the summer like that happened and didn't happen. I just lost track. I was like, I'm going to wait till they start playing. Yeah, but that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was an assign for Portsmouth. We tried to hijack the deal last minute, and he decided to go with Cowley. Because he's played with Cowley before as well, and he wanted the game time. But that's where it all sort of came from, wasn't it? Because we had Jacob, was it Jacob, the winger at your place, who was apparently going to sign all.
Yeah, I think Michael Jacobs was due to it was made out that he was basically did a PE up in Wangley and got to Ipswich, and then you were like, nah, and then
and then Selena came available, and we sent Jacobs back. See, that's what it all cuts. I love it. Love a good rivalry, though, and at its level, you've got to sort of manufacture your own rivalry, right? Because Southampton and Norwich, sadly for us, are 2 leagues above us. So we've got to manufacture our own rivalry here.
Absolutely. There's we've developed a nice little rivalry with Sunderland because they've been down here a while, and we faced them in various situations in the Checker Trade or Papa John's Trophy and playoffs and everything. Sky like to call it the Plymouth game of Dockyard Derby, despite it not being a derby. Everyone tries to add some spice and intrigue to games that, on the face of it, are just another league game.
Yeah. The Dockyard Derby, like that.
Ugh,
Amy.
Makes everyone's skin crawl.
Yeah, I can imagine it probably does. It's like the old farm derby. I hate when they say old farm derby. It's like, I don't even know if you've got a farm anywhere near them. It's all on the A140 in the Suffolk territory. But anyway, as we come up to the sort of the half-hour mark, traditionally as we close the show, I mean, anything else you want to glean from our Portsmouth fan? Anything else you want to know, etc.?
I was just thinking, so we've just been speaking to Angela, the Wigan fan, about Paul Cook, and I explained to her that I am sitting on the fence, but my legs are definitely dangling on the I have no faith that he's going to do anything side of the argument. So I asked Angela whether she thought that I was being impatient and should give him more time, or whether I'm right and we should just give up on him and go for someone else. What do you reckon? What would you say if someone asked you that?
Well, he took us up out of League Two, which is even more of a dogfight than League One. it's so much more depressing down there, because if you do go down, then you're out of the league.
Yeah,
true.
And we went up as champions on the last day of the season, so it was if it wasn't for the way he left, he would have been lauded for what he'd done. So I'm sure he'll come good, because he knows the leagues around him.
Yeah.
It's just a similar situation to us. I think you've got a lot of new players, and it's always going to take time to sort out playing their style of play and working out how to play with each other.
But you obviously hope that starts past Tuesday, obviously.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Naturally.
Of course.
Naturally. I hope he's beaten Cambridge and he's smashing Portsmouth by the time people might be watching this, so... Sorry.
Yeah, then they're going to be like, what is Amy on about? Why is she still moaning?
That is the danger here, particularly with the Wigan one, because the Wigan one was done such in advance that by then we could be like, unbeaten in X, Y, Z.
Winning the league already by Christmas.
And yeah, absolutely. I've really enjoyed this chat. It's been a real pleasure to sit down with you and discuss football and listen to your stories and listen to how you perceive Ipswich Town. That's an interesting one. I've never really gleaned that from an away fan. What do they think and feel when they see our crest on that fixture list? But Amy, over to you. Really, anything else?
No, absolutely. Thank you, Izzy. Thanks so much for coming on. And to anyone who's watching it and knows an away fan or knows of anyone who might like to come and jump on and any of our games that are coming up, I'm going to be dipping in and out of social media trying to find some more guests to come and speak to us, because like I said at the beginning, we want to know what the fans think. We don't always want to hear the managers and the players with their sound bites. Mr. Paul Cook's clearly pretty good. We've heard that a few times today about him saying the right things, haven't we? So it would be nice to hear from the fans, and it is all about the away days. So I do love to have a fellow away day fan on here.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously stories in the comments section as well. Anything you feel we need to know about Portsmouth away, hotels, parking, pubs, stadium, and of course your stories, they're all welcome still. But yes, thank you to Izzy. Amy, expert as always. But yeah, so next away day guide after this one is Plymouth, is that right? So a counterpart in the Dockyard derby there. Look, we're going to go from one Dockyard to the... Sorry, I couldn't resist it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Until next time.